Honda E versus VW ID.3, the clash of the small EVs. This will be so interesting, will be so much fun. Look at that, the Honda E in a more angular retro styling, and I think this is the vehicle that VW should have built design-wise in a Golf 1 design. Instead, they went for a more round retro design, reminding of the VW Beetle. The question is, which one do you like better design-wise? I think my favorite already right now, here just from definitely the Honda E, but there's of course more to come. Let's go with all the technical details. And starting here, round headlamps. There we go, also with the daytime running light inside. The charging flap, zoom more to that, is here, placed very prominently in the front. Not such a cool thing because it catches a lot of attention and also has more problems. I will show you the problems very soon. Whereas the ID.3 here, the headlamp design goes here with the daytime running light, and this dot structure is, for example, inside the grille as well. And the most interesting thing today, I think, the ID.3 is a small vehicle, but look at that in comparison to the Honda E. This looks huge and this looks tiny, so it's already really way more narrow. And one interesting design detail here already, classical mirrors versus camera mirrors on the Honda E right here. So this is, very interesting. Will it fail like in the Audi e-tron, or is it good here? We'll find out later. Now let's check out the rear. I think both really nice from design. Honda E, once again, just like it almost looks like a mirror of the front, just with the red lights, of course. And especially when you have the white paint, you have a great contrast then to the black elements. And once again, the square design, and also the upper house smaller than the lower part. The ID.3, more, let's say, contemporary design, definitely, but also very well done. And you also have these black contrasts in here and the VW retro logo. Top speed, 160 kilometers an hour or 100 miles an hour for the ID.3, whereas we have 145 kilometers an hour or 90 miles an hour for the Honda E. Well, not too big of a difference, but interesting also, let's already talk about the battery sizes, because at the price point, these two cars here, around 35,000 euros. But for this very price, you have a 35 kilowatt hour battery in the Honda E and a 58 kilowatt hour battery in the VW ID.3. Here you also get a smaller one and a bigger one, but the price comparison directly between these two cars, you get way bigger battery here with this vehicle and also lower energy consumption. So the total range then, maximum 400 kilometers or 250 miles, whereas with the Honda E, maximum 200 kilometers or 125 miles. So the ID.3 as it stands right now, double the range, and when you pick the bigger battery, even higher the range. And when you have some like cold conditions and so on, the Honda E will even drop further down. So it's still quite cold today and was even colder earlier. And when you have the heating and so on, we rather got towards like 150 kilometers or closer 100 miles in the range. So range is the biggest problem of the Honda E. This is a pure city vehicle. Well, we heard about the range flaw with the Honda E, but here, what about the charging flaw? It looks spectacular here, and it's more like, motor show alike to show this off. But I mean, why so huge, and why then at this place, and why with such a huge flap? And what about the rain comes inside? And I mean, okay, I have to do this. Just when it rains here, like this. I mean, you see, it does rinse away. Yes, that works. Still, however, when it rains, you have it all, rainy inside there. So not the best solution, but at least you see the water goes, goes through here. Very interesting. But that's live on Autogefühl. That's why we're here. So recharging is 11 kilowatt AC or 60 kilowatt DC. That's another thing where the Honda E is not that fast. But once again, this car is mainly thought that you take it at home and recharge it at home every day basically. So that's what it's for, using it in the city. And then the DC charging is also not that crucial. So here in recharging, the ID.3 also leads it, 11 kilowatt AC and 100 kilowatt DC. 125 kilowatt DC will be possible soon as well, and of course makes even more sense when you go for the bigger battery, because here you will also get a 77 kilowatt hour battery. Then you are even better in the range, maximum of 500 kilometers or 300 miles. No frunks whatsoever, neither for the ID.3, oh let's clean it here a little bit, nor for the Honda E. That's a pity, but let's talk about the power figures anyway in here now, because we have 136 or optional 154 horsepower for the Honda E. 8.3 seconds is the acceleration figure. The ID.3 is quicker. We either have 150 horsepower or 204 horsepower. And then either you are half a second faster, or then in this case, because we have the 204 horsepower version here, 1 second faster. So 8.3 seconds, and here 7.3 seconds for the ID.3 sprint to 1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. But the cool thing is, both vehicles are rear-wheel drive. Yes! Oh, and look at that here. The Honda E wins the gas struts game. It does have it, the ID.3 does not. Lengthwise, the ID.3 is way longer, 4 meters 26 or 168 inches. Also 18 to 20 inch wheels. These are the biggest 20 inch wheels in an aerodynamic style, and the side profile with the dropping line right here. And the car leans a little bit forward design wise. I mean, it's still a short car, but the Honda E is even shorter. 3 meters 92 or 154 inches, 16 or these here the optional 17-inch wheels, and look at how tiny it is. So it's like, you know, like this shorter, and you see it's also more narrow. Interesting, and more of this box design and the contrasting roof to that. Here once again you can see it also changes design-wise something, and also better for aerodynamics when you don't have the real side mirrors. So what do you think? What would be your design pick, Honda E or ID.3? I can just say again, just by the looks, this car is so much fun. You have to like it, don't you? Key fob comparison. Not a fan of either of that one. The VW one looks stylish, but yeah, the high gloss black, not a fan of that. And this one looks rather old school. Whatever, keyless entry, because when you get close to the car, usually these handles, they come automatically towards you, and then you just have to open them. So this is really cool. Fabric, different, a little bit brighter than here with the contrast and so on. This looks super cool, living room alike already right there. And then look at that, awesome, wow, so lovely. Matte wood right here, and then the open steering wheel, the buttons here also good quality, then lovely fabric seats in a grey Scandinavian living room design. And look at that here, how it's like a round right there, and it goes really low down. This also increases the comfort. Yeah, just have to say, really well done. And even as a tall person, you sit very well on these seats, very comfortable. You have this panoramic roof, but you can only, use this manual slider. But, why not? It's easily done. And then 1 means 86, 6 yeah, here you still have some room left. So really feeling cozy, and look at that. Here's the digital aquarium. And that way, I think it's also totally fine to have the aquarium. It doesn't harm anyone. It's really interesting to see that here. It's a cool feature, definitely. But you definitely see screens, 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 screens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These here are the digital mirrors, and the way they are put here in your line of sight, that's the way to go. In the Audi e-tron, you kind of had to look down because they were placed inside the doors. But here, this is a good solution, and you don't have any blind spot, and you have a realistic image of what's happening behind you. I think that's really cool. Zoom more to the screens, but once again, matte wood atmosphere, so I think the design of the interior here is on top. And yes, save the manual climate knob. That's our action here on Autogefühl. We have it here for the climate unit. Yeah, I think great user interface. And here, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Once again, using the seat heating with your knees, my special Thomas shortcut. Then the digital instruments, not too much to discover there, but it's also just fine with the speed, and also then the range here in percentage. That's always a discussion. I prefer to see the range figure, others prefer to see the percentage, or both, but at least you have the range figure than here, and then it's actually also just fine. This is, by the way, the home screen, so 2 screens, 12.3 inch. They also have the, the Japanese background here, interesting, nice garden. But then you can also have individualization here. So I put the Apple CarPlay hotkey here, and the music system is actually quite decent here. So the sound we get here is, whoa, there we go, was a little bit of lag. So the music system is actually very decent, like that. And you can also switch around these. So this is like a switch button. So the co-driver can have here the power flow, and then you can switch it around what you want to see and have the switch battles in the interior between the passenger and the driver. Might be a little bit distracting indeed. How the solution is here is something a little bit complicated, and also how the GPS looks like is really not up to date. It could also be a little bit faster. So I think they meant well with the infotainment system, but the overall solution is maybe a little bit complicated and also not too fast enough for modern EVs. Yeah, and once again, I think the image quality here of the side mirrors is actually very decent. Middle console, not sure if it's that clever to have 1, the reverse, neutral, D, so 4 buttons then for the driving modes. It's maybe a little bit too complicated. And then this is then the button for the recuperation, and here you can change the driving modes, normal or sport. So rather straightforward. And then you can split these here and have more drinks in that or something. But overall, this is then kept quite simple. Then in the lower area, HDMI port, that's very rare, and you can maybe use your PlayStation here or something. Then a real power socket in the front, that's also super rare, so why not? Good idea. And here a place to put your smartphone, for example. And then we have an interesting solution here for the cup holder. You can slide it out like this. Let's check out the interior of the ID.3 now. First of all, door closing sound. Yeah, that's better. Good door closing sound. So there the ID.3 wins it. Then hard pack materials. Oh, there the Honda E has the lead. This is the leather red. That's actually quite cool. But the overall styling is more budget-alike, I would say. And the rest of the interior, on the one hand, looks modern. On the other hand, yeah, I mean, here the small display that is connected directly to the steering wheel doesn't make the best impression. But at least, you have a great head-up display. That is cool with augmented reality arrows, and that's why you can also keep the digital instruments somewhat simplified. Capacitive buttons at the steering wheel, not to my liking. There, the real buttons of the Honda are better. It looks fancy also with the illumination, but to control it while driving is worse. Nice fabric seats here as well. However, the fabric of the Honda is a little bit more breathable, so there again, the Honda has a little bit of a lead. However, the seating comfort is actually quite good, and also the the spacious atmosphere. However, the windscreen in the front, has a different angle of the Honda and stands more upright, and therefore you have a better view all around. Other than that, you have a good seating position and van style like on the exterior. Yeah, it is. And also here on the interior, because you have real armrests like this. And with 1.86 m or 6'1", you also have some headroom here left. So in the digital instruments, you cannot switch too much, just more like this, but it gives you the speed and that's it, and also the range. The gear selector is here, forward to drive, that's reverse and P. Easy and nice integrated simple solution, why not? And by the way, there in the front you can see there's light right there in the front, and this is like a little bit communicating with you depending on what you do, like putting in gears, or also when you use the GPS, it shows also with the color and the signature right there in the direction. Interesting. Then the infotainment system, 10-inch. And they recently had a software update. So far, it was really bad. Now it's a little bit more responsive. It boots faster. Everything, the reaction times are better. So they have been working on it. So good solution for the moment. I mean, still, I'm not the biggest fan of the infotainment system, how it looks like, but it's good to see that they have made good progress in updating it. Look at that here with the Apple CarPlay. This is the integration like it is, and then we can also hop back to the main Volkswagen menu. So yeah, we waited a long time and there's still much to do, but at least they have improved things for now. And here also the energy consumption. This really proves that the range, somewhat between 300 and 400 kilometers, so 200 to 250 miles, and that's way better than with the Honda E, where we had, at some point almost double the energy consumption figures. So that's the most important thing where the ID.3 leads. However, where it doesn't lead, the capacitive volume control and the capacitive climate control, that's something what we don't really need. Middle console with adaptive cup holders right here, and then there's this middle part for the smartphone inductive charging pad, but this split here is somehow strange, I would say, and a lot of space here, but yeah, when you leave the armrest, like squish and then USB-C chargers too, and then you can split these like this. Yeah, we've seen similar things in the Honda E. So overall, a lot of space because there's no middle tunnel whatsoever for any transmission or something. Of course, you can also put these armrests up and you have a better access. This is, by the way, the Connect app by VW. There you can also have remote control of the AC unit and see the remaining status of the battery and so on. So why not? You can also have a GPS view here, and then, for example, also of the next charging stations. If it would load, at the moment we have no signal here or hardly any signal. And then once again here, the remaining range. Now the rear seating comparison here with the Honda E. It's a small, short vehicle. When I'm driving like this, I cannot sit here properly. I would need to put the seat a little bit higher and a little bit more to the front. Headroom-wise, this exactly fits, but I mean, it's really short, so that's actually okay. The using of space is totally fine, and it's actually quite cozy here in the rear bench. You have 2 seats, and the fabric is soft and plush, so I wouldn't mind it at all. It's not thought out to be for 4 tall adults, but when you're a little bit smaller, it's okay. You also have Isofix for the child seats and so on. So why not the solution here? And you can also easily like this here, fold the bench already from here. Now let's switch over here with the ID.3, and of course the wheelbase plays a big role here. I can sit here as a tall adult, so this is 4 tall adult proof, and headroom wise also a little bit more than in the Honda E. Here you can also see the nice panoramic roof. You cannot open it, but there's a slider then. And here there's also the middle seating available. This also works, gets a little bit closer with the head then. More thought that you use the outside seats, but here you can have 3 passengers. So definitely when rear passengers is a thing for you, then the ID.3 definitely leads it. And then in the middle part you also have cup holders and also a ski hatch. A little bit, Golf alike, and that's also the thing. The length is rather like a Polo, but the interior space is rather like a Golf. There we go. Or even better than a Golf, actually. Like a Golf long wheelbase. So that's definitely where the ID.3 is leading this comparison. Trunk test, the fight of the small EVs. You see here the Honda E is just occupied with 1 cabin trolley. The length is 22 inches or 56 centimeters. And the width here, or like this, so close to a meter or 40 inches. So not too much, and then you can fold down the whole bench like this. It's also possible. The ID.3 here, a little bit more flexible, way longer here at 30 inches or 75 centimeters, and even a little bit more than a meter or 40 inches. And you can see here the cabin trolley doesn't look lost in here. So definitely also here 1 more point for the ID.3, and also even more space underneath. Let's go. Let's go.